You might be surprised to know this, but 5 out of India's 10 biggest startup acquisitions happened in the last 2 years since the pandemic started. We are currently in the middle of a boom right now with unicorns and IPOs and acquisitions happening left, right, and center, which makes it easy to forget that it hasn't actually always been like this. There was a time when startup acquisitions bigger than $100 million were relatively rare here in India. And to this day, you can almost count the number of startup acquisitions bigger than $200 million on your fingers. And those are the ones that we're going to be talking about in today's video, coming up right after this. Starting things off at number 10, we have Bengaluru-based cab aggregator TaxiForSure. Founded by Aprameya Radhakrishna and Raghunandan ji in 2011, TaxiForSure was one of the earliest players in India's online cab aggregation space. By 2015, they had a loyal customer base of 2 million people, being served by a network of 15,000 vehicles across 47 cities. And their investors played a crucial role in making this happen, investing $44 million over the years. Then though, in 2013, disaster struck, at least from TaxiForSure and Ola's perspectives. See, Uber had entered India, and in just 2 years, they had already expanded to 11 cities. And while Ola was still ahead of them with a fleet of 100,000 vehicles across 67 cities, they also realized that Uber might be able to wipe them out if they played their cards right, which is why Ola preemptively pursued an aggressive inorganic growth strategy by acquiring TaxiForSure in a deal worth $200 million. Today, in the 20s, we can look back and see very clearly that this was the right move for Ola to make. Now, as TaxiForSure was absorbed into Ola over the span of a couple of months, the company's founders decided to go off and start their own ventures, with Aprameya starting Vocal in 2018 and then Coup in 2020, and Raghunandan starting Zolve in 2020 as well. Next up at number 9, we have San Francisco-based edtech startup Simplilearn, which is an Indian company despite the fact that they're headquartered out of the United States because they began their journey in Bengaluru. See, in 2007, Simplilearn's founder Krishna Kumar had just sold his first company, Tech Unified, for 49 crore rupees and had some free time on his hands. So he decided to start blogging about his learnings on the internet, and this blog became pretty popular. By the end of 2009, more than 3,000 professionals had taken his project management course, and in 2010, he decided to turn his blog into a startup, an online school for training and upskilling IT professionals. Today, Simplilearn offers more than 40 courses and has trained over 2 million professionals, and the best part is, Simplilearn is profitable. Krishna only raised $31 million from investors before eventually selling a controlling stake in the startup to Blackstone for $250 million, thereby giving his investors a between 6 and 20x ROI. More than a decade after founding Simplilearn, Krishna will continue to build the startup with the help of Blackstone into the future. Moving on to number 8, we have Bengaluru-based online fashion retailer Myntra. Founded by Ashutosh Lavania, Mukesh Bansal, Ravin Sastry, Sankar Bora, and Vineet Saxena in 2007, Myntra was just an online platform for selling personalized gift items for the first couple of years. By 2010, though, their revenue was just 12 crore rupees. And so in 2011, they decided to pivot and started selling fashion products instead. Because of this change, they were bringing in revenue totaling 427 crore rupees by the financial year of 2014. And it was around this same time that Flipkart was trying to enter into the e-commerce fashion space, but they weren't seeing a lot of success. And so in an effort to grow inorganically, they acquired Myntra in 2014 for $280 million. And to this day, Myntra is one of Flipkart's most precious and lucrative acquisitions. Coming in at number 7 now, we have Bengaluru-based edtech startup WhiteHat Jr. Founded by Karambajaj in 2018, WhiteHat Jr. offers live one-on-one coding classes to its students. And this unique teaching approach, combined with their aggressive marketing tactics and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the education space, enabled the startup to achieve an annual revenue run rate of $150 million in just 18 months of starting. This growth was more than a little bit impressive, and caught the attention of Byju's, who acquired WhiteHat Jr. for $300 million in an all-cash deal in 2020. This exit was especially lucrative for WhiteHat Jr.'s investors, who had only given the startup $11.3 million and saw returns ranging from 10 to 14x of their investment. Byju's is now leveraging WhiteHat Jr.'s expertise to launch Byju's Future School in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and Mexico. Next up at number 6, we have Bengaluru-based mobile gaming startup PlaySimple Games. Founded by Preeti Reddy, Siddharth Jain, and Suraj Nalin in 2014, PlaySimple Games makes simple word games like Word Trip, Crossword Jam, Word Bingo, and Word Bliss. Their games have been downloaded more than 75 million times, and they have more than 2 million monthly active users. These users have enabled the startup to build a robust and profitable business with only $4.5 million in external investment. In 2020 alone, PlaySimple Games raked in a massive $83 million in revenue with EBITDA of $18 million. Which made it a no-brainer acquisition for Swedish gaming firm Modern Times Group, who bought PlaySimple Games for $360 million in 2021. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Mumbai-based mobile recharge platform FreeCharge, which was started at a time when a majority of mobile recharging in India happened offline. And that's where Kunal Shah and Sandeep Tandon saw an opportunity for disruption in 2010. Over the next 5 years, the number of Indian internet users would more than triple, and by 2015, FreeCharge was doing more than 1 million transactions a month. Thanks to this increase in internet penetration, Snapdeal was also on the rise, and they were on an acquisition spree. FreeCharge, which they acquired for $400 million, was just one of 7 companies that they bought in 2015. And as we all know, that strategy didn't work out too well for them. The e-commerce giant collapsed, and in 2017, they sold FreeCharge for just $60 million to Axis Bank. Kunal Shah, on the other hand, benefited from the acquisition immensely. The money that he walked away with enabled him to build his next venture, Cred, which he founded in 2018. Coming in at number 4 now, we have Singapore-based edtech startup Great Learning, which is another one of those companies that is headquartered outside of India, but it is an Indian company, as it was founded in Gurugram in 2013 by Arjun Nair, Hari Nair, and Mohan Lakamraju. This startup offers upskilling courses to help working professionals accelerate their career growth. And incredibly, this startup's journey was completely bootstrapped. They turned a profit during their second year of operations and are currently seeing an annual revenue run rate of $100 million. Their success in the edtech space caught the attention of Byju's, who acquired Great Learning in 2021 for $600 million. The startup will continue to operate independently as a subsidiary, and Byju's has already earmarked $400 million for their future growth. And the best part of this story is that Great Learning's employees owned 25% of the startup and will be getting $100 million from this acquisition. Next up at number 3, we have Bengaluru-based online grocery delivery unicorn BigBasket. The story of this company actually begins more than a decade before it was founded in 1999, when Abhinay Chowdhury, Hari Menon, Vipul Parekh, V.S. Ramesh, V.S. Sudhakar, and K. Vaitishwaram launched India's first e-commerce platform, FabMart. This startup was a bit too ahead of its time and failed because of India's lack of internet penetration. So the founders did a 180 and started an offline grocery chain called Fab Mall, which was acquired by the Aditya Birla Group in 2007 for 340 crore rupees and has since been rebranded to More, India's 4th largest supermarket chain. After this acquisition, FabMall's founders decided to return to the idea that they had initially been forced to forfeit in the 90s of building something online because this was a new century. The internet was finally economically viable. In 2011, in Bengaluru, using their expertise in the grocery space, they launched BigBasket, an online grocery delivery startup that has since expanded to 30 cities across India and became the country's only grocery delivery unicorn. In 2020, Tata acquired a 64% majority stake in BigBasket in a deal estimated to be worth $1.3 billion. Yep, we're getting into the billions now. Moving on to number 2, we have Gurugram-based online travel aggregator GoIbibo. Founded by Ashish Kashyap, the startup actually began its journey as a social media platform in 2007, but eventually pivoted into an online travel booking website in 2009, despite the fact that Make My Trip had been around for nearly a decade and startups like ClearTrip and Yatra were already gaining market share. By 2015, GoIbibo had become a group of companies called the Ibibo Group, which included PayU, Redbus, and of course GoIbibo, which had since emerged as one of the top 3 online travel agencies in the country and was ranked number 1 when it came to hotel bookings. Their revenue had doubled from 114 crore rupees to 234 crore rupees. And so in 2016, Make My Trip decided to finally stop competing with the Ibibo Group and instead acquired them for a massive $1.8 billion. To this day, the Ibibo Group is a huge part of Make My Trip's business. Ashish Kashyap, on the other hand, launched a fintech startup in 2019 called IndMoney. And finally, coming in at number 1, you probably saw this one coming, we have Bengaluru-based e-commerce behemoth Flipkart, which was started in 2007 by Binny and Sachin Bansal. Now, Flipkart started its journey as a humble online bookstore. And if you want to get the whole story on Flipkart, we actually made a mini documentary on that exact subject. It's almost 30 minutes long. It's super in-depth. It took us a long time to make, but it was a really fun project. You can check that video out up here. But fast forward to the financial year of 2018, and Flipkart's revenue had increased by nearly 50% from 19,854 crore rupees to 30,164 crore rupees. And they'd raised billions of dollars from their investors. Now, at the time, Walmart had been looking for an opportunity to enter India's booming e-commerce market, and they decided that Flipkart was the best way to do that. They bought a 77% majority stake in the company for $16 billion, making it India's largest acquisition ever. Flipkart's investors all saw huge returns from this deal, and while Binny and Sachin were unfortunately both kicked out of the company, they made $1 billion each from the acquisition, and went on to start Navi Technologies and X to 10X. Alright, that was our list of India's top 10 startup acquisitions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, it would really help us out if you could hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, we post new videos every single week about Indian startups, entrepreneurs, and the latest news. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires, and I will see you in the next one.